All right, welcome everybody. Super excited to be talking about building a $5 million team today. As you can see on the picture, this is a picture of our team taken just recently. And so today I'm going to be going through a lot of information. Team is one of the biggest, if not the biggest topic to scale and take your clinic or any business to the next level. And so I'm going to go through a lot of information. It's very dense information today. This is being recorded. We will get a recording to everybody out on this call. So don't try and write down everything. Biggest thing I want you to focus on is what are the action steps that you can immediately take as a result of this information to grow and scale your clinic to the next level. Okay. Big thing I want to emphasize with this presentation today is team and improving your team is not going to happen quickly. It's a process. There's lots and lots of small details. There's lots of things that you have to do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. There's lots of activities and in-depth analysis that you need to do on a consistent basis of how you can figure out what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your opportunities, what are your challenges, and improving and scaling your team. But if you have that focus on team, then the rest is going to come itself, because team is what dictates marketing, sales, operations, finance. All the parts of your businesses are all going to be come down to having the proper team that can execute and grow and scale. If you want to get to a point where you can have your clinic running, growing, scaling without you being there, it's all going to come down to team. I'm going to walk through all the different aspects of team that we've implemented to grow our clinic from 0 to over $5 million a year, just in under 4 years, right out of school. And I'm going to walk through all these different steps. At the end, I'm going to have a summary of all the action steps that you can take at the very end. But biggest thing I want to do is you guys to come up with what is the most immediate thing that's going to have the largest impact on your clinic to grow and get to the next level. First things I want to talk about today is just overall framework of mindset around team. Like I said earlier, most likely team is going to be everyone's biggest bottleneck 99% of the time. If you run into any other bottlenecks, it's probably a team issue in disguise. And so if you have that frame of mind and you have that understanding, then you're always going to be focused properly on team. And that's what I really feel like now that I have gotten to a CEO position within my clinic. My number one overarching premise of if I could provide the number one thing in my clinic is overall retention of team. And so we're going to talk about, do you not have enough team members, or do you not have good enough team members? And those are going to be the top bottlenecks that you need to solve to go to the next level. But biggest thing is people always lose their focus because they get distracted. Team gets difficult. There's all these different shiny objects, things that you can start focusing on instead of team. And that's when you start to slip, because then you start losing team members and you start growing faster than you can keep up with. Your team members aren't trained good enough. Then you don't have the sign-up rates. Then you don't have the show-up rates. Then you don't have the retention. All those things because you didn't focus properly on team. And so you always have to keep that continual focus and realize, hey, team is my number one bottleneck. What is the top thing I need to do to move forward with team? But team is difficult. These are my kids, Breck and Parker. I got a 6-month-old as well. And this is what I always tell them. Are you a whiner or you are a winner? And it's easy to whine and complain about team. It's the easiest thing to do because they're people. They're frustrating. They're not machines. They're not going to be black and white. There's going to be difficulties. There's going to be HR issues. There's going to be performance reviews. There's going to be, babies born and marriages and divorces and drama and all sorts of different things, because they're human beings. And you have to understand that, and you have to know that. And if you have those proper expectations, then you can always get back on course a lot faster, because otherwise you can really get in a negative mindset about team if you don't understand and have the proper framework from the beginning. And so the proper framework from an overall mindset standpoint is that team members are income producing assets. They're not bank draining liabilities. Everyone, in a chiropractic profession with our model, team and employees should be your highest thing on your P&L. Payroll should be your number one expense, because team members are the most important. We're providing a service, okay? And there's so many things that are going to be reliant on team members to provide high quality service to get to the next levels. And so we need to shift our mindset to view team members. How are these team members impacting the growth of my business? Not how are they negatively impacting my profit? How not negatively, why are they costing so much money? Why do I have to pay so much money? Think about, hey, if I could pay someone $4 more an hour, how much more, are they going to produce than someone, $16 an hour versus $20 an hour? Shift your mindset on investing into your team, finding high quality team members, and then refining your team members to make them polished experts, and so that they can drive the growth revenue of your business and also drive your freedom. Whether your goal is to scale and grow your business, or your goal is to eliminate you from the processes, maybe you want to maintain your same level that you're at, but you don't want to be responsible from a day-to-day. Either one of those issues, either one of the things, however you want to grow, scale, get to the next level, it's all going to be dependent on team. So this is the frame of mind I think about is HR stands for human resources. Any resource in the world that's precious and amazing, you always want more of. You want more diamonds, we want more gold, we want more oil, right? These are all the most precious, vital resources for the world. But the number one resource by far and away in the world is humans. And we need to find them, we need to recruit them, we need to get them on our team, we need to then, they might not come in polished and shiny and perfect. And then that's our job through a training process, through employee engagement, to take these people and take them to the next level. And so that's what we're going to talk about today is finding the right people, putting them in the right seats, and then refining them, training them, getting the most out of them so that they can be income producing assets, not bank draining liabilities. Again, you need to have this frame of mind first, because there's going to be so many hurdles and obstacles that are going to happen with team, and you need to have the right mindset to overcome those to begin with. Think about so many things from a team member perspective. I love this concept of opportunity cost. If you don't have enough team members, or you don't have good enough team members, you're losing way more opportunity costs. You're losing way more money and revenue and growth and opportunities and freedom, okay, than the additional cost of paying someone a little bit more or having another team member. All right, when you're trying to grow and you're bottleneck and you can't see any more availability because you didn't hire ahead of your growth, you waited till you had your growth, and then your team members start getting burned out. You have to think about it. How can you avoid losing money? And that's the biggest thing from an opportunity cost. Most people, just miss out on the potential because they run into a bottleneck. And so by staying ahead of your team growth, by always investing into training them, that's how you're going to get to the next level, right? Because one of my favorite sayings is, what happens if I invest in my team members and they leave? The worst case scenario, what happens if I don't invest in my team members and they stay? Right? So let's first dive into not enough team members. You need to think about, you are building an army for your business. You are building people that know what to do, that they're highly skilled, highly qualified, that they can execute, and they can do and execute your vision, your goals. You want to accomplish where you want to go. You need an army to get there. Okay. But if you don't have enough people, then your customer service is going to, decrease. If you guys have ever been to Chick-fil-A for lunch or dinner, right? You're looking through that drive-through window behind the counter. There's 40, 14-year-olds, running around, delivering your chicken sandwich to you, 40 seconds after you ordered it, saying my pleasure, delivering extremely high customer service. And that's why, Chick-fil-A per franchise is the highest grossing revenue of any fast food restaurant. What is one of the number one secrets? I know multiple local Chick-fil-A owners, they say it's team. They have more people to deliver higher quality customer service. So even if the drive-through line is 40 people deep, people are going to pull into that drive-through line versus, a restaurant right across the street that has 1-2 cars. They still believe they're probably going to get through that drive-through line at a faster pace than someone, another restaurant with 1 or 2 people. So if you can deliver higher quality customer service, well, then you can charge higher prices. You can have better retention of your team, of your patients. And so, yes, maybe it costs a little bit more to have more people, but the end result, okay, of driving higher revenue and profitability is going to be way higher outsized than the small marginal cost of having, a few extra people on your team. If you don't have enough team members, your sales and marketing are absolutely going to suffer. First of all, from a marketing perspective, if you don't have people out in the community speaking your message, bringing in leads, then you don't have enough team members to take care of those leads, to handle those leads. Your schedule is going to get maxed out. Then you're going to be backed up. Then you're going to have decreased show-up rates. You're going to have decreased sign-up rates, right? And losing, one person, losing a couple people, could be the whole entire cost, of paying someone a few more dollars an hour. That's what I always talk about earlier. Like I said, $16 an hour versus $20 an hour, $4 difference. Over the course of a year, that's going to equal about $8,000. Let's just say, on the very, very low end, your lifetime value of a client is only $2,000. going from maybe a C player to an A player is going to, be the difference of 4 people, retaining under care or signing up under care. For most people on this call, it's probably only 1 person or 2 people at the very most, to pay the difference from a C player to an A player. But that those A players are going to have a much bigger impact than on only 1, 2, or even 4, team members signing up patients signing up or retaining in your clinic. The operations cost, your clinic is not going to run nearly as efficiently if you don't have the proper team members. You're going to be doing all these different tasks. Speaking of Lucro, right? What do we talk to? A lot of doctors are doing their books. They're doing their bookkeeping. They're categorizing transactions. What are you doing? You're a doctor. You should not be doing those activities. They're doing all sorts of lower scale activities that can be delegated for $15 to $20 an hour, maybe even less. With virtual assistants. We have 2 virtual assistants for my chiropractic clinic, out of the Philippines that cost $5 an hour. There's so many things with team that you can create efficiencies. You need your top players, starting with you as the clinic owner, to be doing on what you can do the best and only you can do. And then you need to trickle that down, through your leadership team within your organization. But if you don't have enough team members, then you're going to be stuck. Then your high level people are going to be stuck doing low level tasks. Okay, if you have doctors on your team, they should be doing what only doctors can do as much as humanly possible. They should not be doing all these side activities that other team members can do. And so you have to have enough team members to do that. Then you can create more efficiency with the people that you have. Now, if you don't have enough people are going to get burned out. Then you're going to have turnover, right? This is my dad joke for the call today. People are going to get burned out. If you want to grow, if you want to scale, if you want to get to the next level, if you want to step out of your practice and have freedom, you're going to have to shift responsibilities and duties to your team members. But if you don't have enough of them, they're going to get burned out. Or you're growing too fast, they're going to get burned out. Then you're going to lose people. Then you're going to be even further understaffed, behind the 8 ball. Then you're going to have to go backwards. How long does it take to find an A player? It could take weeks, months. How long does it take to train an A player? Or get someone up to snuff for training? Could be months. By the time you recover from that deficit, what is the opportunity cost, of maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months of having to go through this continual cycle and process? You're going to lose way, way, way more money than you ever possibly would have costed you to pay someone a few more dollars per hour to retain that employee, or give them more benefits, or have different employee engagement activities that cost marginal fractional costs of what the overall negative opportunity cost that you're going to have if you are losing team members who don't have enough or good enough team members. Now, good enough, right? We're talking about practice. We're talking about training. If you don't have a regular, consistent training process in your clinic, then people aren't going to go to the next level. You're going to hit plateaus. People are going to get off track. Before you know it, team members you thought were doing one thing are doing something completely off the rail, sidetrack, because slowly over time, it's just natural instincts. Someone's going to say something slightly different and then slightly different. And then by the time you catch it, if you're not on top of this on a weekly basis, then you're going to get further and further off track, and you're going to have bigger and bigger problems. Okay, remember the Q&A is open. So if you do have questions while I'm talking, just throw them in. If they're related to what I'm talking about, I'll answer them on the spot. Otherwise, we'll save questions at the end and we'll open up to Q&A again at the end of the call. But you have to have a training process. Our company closes from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. every single Tuesday. And that's when we do all of our team meetings and our team training. From 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock, 4 hours every single Tuesday, we have dedicated time just for team training. We start off in group structure. We do group topics that apply to the entire team. Then we shift into individual departments. The doctors break off, the sales teams break off, the marketing, the front desk, the back office break up into individual department trainings. Then we might have inter-departments. Maybe the doctors in the front desk need to do training together. Maybe the back office and the front desk need to do inter-training. Maybe the sales team and the marketing need to do inter-department training. Or maybe there's individuals, that are newer hires that need to focus on individual training topics for them to get and scale, to the next level. But you have to have this training process, and you need to have a training schedule. I'm going to talk about that later as far as one of the action items. You have to have a regular, consistent training schedule of all the things that need to be trained on globally as a company, and also individually for each individual position in your department. That's your foundation. Then as you evaluate KPIs and performance, you're going to come up with topics that might need to change every single week. Maybe your show-up rate hasn't been improved very well, and you need to, train on improving to improve the show-up rate. Maybe your sign-up rate hasn't been very good. Maybe your customer service hasn't been very good. This is going to go down to structure. Okay, right here, you need to have structure. If you don't have good enough structure with your organization, then your team is not going to be fully utilized properly. Okay, you need to have cadences and rhythms with a daily huddle, with weekly team meetings, like I said, individual one-on-ones every single week or every other week at the very latest. Our team members have a one-on-one with their direct report and get on the same page. Also, there's accountability with expectations, what they're responsible for, the KPIs that they're responsible for, and what they are measured against with their performance review. And having this structure is what's going to keep them in check online, or you're going to find if someone is out of line, ideally you're going to find it, on a weekly basis. You're going to get back into alignment as quickly as possible, because so oftentimes people get so far off track, all right, that by the time they have to make a correction, they probably have to let the team member go. And so if you can get back on the same page as fast as possible, stay in proper expectations and stay in proper agreement by having structure, then you're going to be much more likely to hit your goal and your focus at a much faster rate. Now, culture and core values. Okay, if there's one thing that's an immediate action step, if you don't already have core values, this probably needs to be the number one takeaway or action step if you don't already have defined core values for your clinic. All right, these are our company core values for my clinic, and these are reviewed on a weekly basis. Everybody is evaluated on their alignment with their core values. Everybody is hired due to their alignment with these core values. This is in our job postings, this is in our initial interview, this is in our onboarding, this is in our weekly team meeting, these are in our performance reviews. The core values need to be who you are. These need to be the expectations of if someone is the right person for your organization, they have to have alignment with these core values. If they don't have alignment with these core values, then they could be a great person, they're just not the right fit for your organization. There's no seat on the bus for anybody that doesn't have alignment with the core values, no matter what their skill sets are, no matter how talented they are. If they don't first and foremost line up with the core values of your organization, they are going to wreak havoc on your company. They are going to cause drama, they're going to cause issues, they're going to cause splinters, they're going to cause decisiveness, and that's going to then lead to other team members not staying on the team. And so you have to have these core values defined, because this is how you keep people accountable. You keep people accountable through core values. If they know what your core values are, then you can keep them accountable to them, rather than saying, hey, you should have done this or you should have done that. Well, you can say, hey, this is what I observed. Does that line up with our core value of communication? And you let the core values do the accountability, rather than you having to be the bad guy, rather than you having to be the person that's keeping them accountable. You let the core values do the accountability for you. Hey, this should have been, this was happened this way. Hey, does that line up with our core value of teamwork and accountability? No, right? So then the core values can do the talking, but you have to always have them constant frame of mind. They need to be brought up, like I said, in weekly meetings. How are you doing? How are you evaluating? What are you on a quarterly basis? What is your strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges with doing a better job with your core values? That has to be part of the heartbeat of your organization. Not good enough performance reviews and KPIs. Going to dive deeper into this one for sure. This is massive, okay? This is the next level of a performance review. First and foremost, are they the right person? Do they align with core values? And then are they in the right seat? Can they deliver the performance necessary for the seat that they're in and hit the performance and the KPI metrics that are required of that seat? Okay, but if you don't have these, then how do you know if the person is in the right seat? How do you know if they are performing? How do you know if you should keep them? If you don't have something to measure them against from a performance standpoint, then how do you know that they are the right fit? You don't. Okay, you're guessing, you're using subjective data, emotional, you like them, you feel good about them, I think they're doing a good job. You can't run a business that way. You have to have KPIs, metrics that you're measuring people on. Yes, some positions in the office are going to be easier to measure than others. Sales, marketing, much easier to have KPIs than maybe front desk, back office. Okay, and that's totally understandable. Front desk and back office, are going to have different ways that they're going to be measured. They're going to have some KPIs, but it's going to be a little bit more differently measured, and that's totally fine. Each position needs to be treated differently and have different performance reviews for how they're measured. So you want to take a picture of this screen. This is our actual performance review that we do with our team members. For a period of time, we did them every quarter. Now we are transitioned currently to doing them every 6 months. We have a performance review, like you see on the left here, for every single position in our clinic. The top part is the exact same for every person within the company. These are our core values, okay? And so we're going to evaluate every single team member first and foremost. Are they the right person for our organization? Do they have alignment with our core values? Then you go to the bottom half of the sheet. This is all position specific. So as you can see, this is a performance review for my chiropractors. We're evaluating, are they getting reviews? Are they getting referrals? What is their day one close rate? For our day one, we come in, we charge $120 for x-rays. P1, P2, those are progress reported findings after their initial care plan. They transition more to wellness care. Are people completing care within our office? What is the dropout rate or the churn rate? How many adjustments, are they doing? And compared to that, what is the feedback from the patients? Are we having positive feedback? Are we getting complaints from one doctor compared to another? What is the overall wait time of the clinic from the time someone scans in to the time someone walks out the front door? How are we doing with efficiency with our adjustments? Number 10 on that, weekly KPI blueprint review. Are they reviewing their KPIs by themselves weekly? Training, say, hey, my day one close rate is only at 84% so far this month. What do I need to do personally, self accountability, to get my day one close rate up over 90%? I have only generated, 2 reviews, in the last month. What do I need to do to train on to be more focused and present and cognizant, so that when someone does say a great testimonial, that I drive them to leaving a review or referring a team member? That number 10 is vital, self accountability, because at the end of the day, the team members need to drive their own success. We need to lay out the plan. We need to lay out the roadmap. We need to give them the GPS of what they are supposed to do, how they are supposed to do, and to go from where they are to wherever goals that they want to accomplish. We have to give them the map, but they have to take the steps, okay? And that is the biggest thing that we want to hold them accountable to, is that they are self-growing, they are self-evaluating. They want to get to the next level, and this is going to get into team members having personal, professional, and financial goals. This is going to get into you having an employee maturity model, okay? And so if you don't have that, then you're not going to be able to do that. Mitch, let me just make Mitch a panelist. All right, Mitch, you're a panelist. You can drop links in the chat. Just make sure it sends to everybody. So this is massive. This sheet, you need to create one of these for every single position within your organization. Okay, what are the primary skills and the primary purpose for each position? This is essentially going to turn it into your job posting. Okay, for a chiropractor, I'm looking for someone who is a great communicator, that can coach people to success, that provides excellent clinical outcomes, that does practice member education, that is bold, that can have tough conversations to keep people on track, that is efficient with their care. You just wrote your job description. So by making these performance reviews, you're making your job description, because you don't want to have your job description one way and then what you're holding them accountable to be separate, right? You need those to be in alignment, and you need to have proper expectations from the beginning of what someone is being held accountable to. This performance review, you could give them in the job interview process. You could have it, even more directly, it should be, like I said, woven into the fabric of your job posting of what you're looking for, right? The primary purpose of a job as a chiropractor at Vera Health Center is retention, to turn believers into understanders, to have a high retention rate, to focus on the practice member's life effect, understand their why, and make empathetic connections We want you to help with workshops, some occasional marketing activities, but not very much. Majority of your focus is going to be on practice member retention, delivering high quality care, having amazing communication. You know, when you're not talking to a practice member, you might be taking, marking, or stitching x-rays, you know, or you might be in an examination room doing day one closes, you know, or doing progress report of findings, reviewing the results of their initial care plan, showing them their re-x-rays so that they can move into the next phase. You're literally writing your own job description. So if you make these first, then your job descriptions are going to fall in line. Okay. Don't make your job description first, you know, and then make your performance review. And then there's different expectations from what you actually said versus what it is supposed to be. All right. Now, performance review feedback. Okay. This is filled out by the team member. The team member also fills out the performance review themselves. Okay. Before you fill it out, because we want their feedback. We want their self-evaluation. What did I say was one of the most important parts of the whole KPIs is self-training, self-evaluation, self-review. What am I doing well? What can I do better? You know, what are some concerns that I have, you know, in my position or moving forward or growing or scaling? You need the team member to have these thought processes, to have this focus, to be growing and scaling, you know, and getting to that next level. Okay. So again, this is massive. This performance review, you have to create one of these for every single position. Core values, again, number one, if you don't have core values, you can't make this. So you have to have core values. Number two, you need to have KPIs for every single position in your clinic. All right. And that's a very easy process that you can go through and say, hey, what are all the positions that I have in the company? You know, what are their tasks and their activities that they're currently doing? What do those tasks and activities have the greatest impact on that can be measured? Then you come up with your KPIs. Then you're going to measure them for a period of time. If you don't currently measure them and say, okay, currently, this is what we are doing. This is our current number of reviews, referrals, this is our current close rates, these are our current sign-up rates, these are our current retention, churn rates, and so forth like that. And you say, okay, this is the baseline, this is where we're at, okay? Then what are the goals? What do we want for them to be at? You know, are those great? You know, are they not very good right now? And we want them to strive to get better. And we need to have training processes, like I talked about earlier, to constantly improve on those areas. So this is the massive topic, because this in and of itself, this concept is really like the middle, the center, the heartbeat of everything that we're talking about. Okay, so we kind of broken down some of these different topics of core values. Hiring, like I said, first and foremost, are they the right person? Line up with core values. Right seat. Do they have the skills necessary to succeed in that level? Again, front desk person needs to be bubbly, outgoing, energetic. Back office person needs to be detail oriented and focused. Doctor needs to be a great, you know, communicator. Salesperson needs to be persuasive, you know, great at connecting and building relationships, right? You need to have those different understanding of who needs to be in the right seat. And you might, and most likely, need to evaluate your current team. Are they in the right seat? Maybe you have a great person who's very lined up with your core values, but they're not performing. Is there a different seat within your organization that you can move them to? Or is there not an opening? You know, or like I said, if they don't have alignment with core values in the first place, there's no seat at all within the organization for them. Onboarding. Do you have an incredible onboarding experience? How do you welcome someone to your team? First impressions, we talk about all the time from a customer service patient standpoint. Are we doing the same thing from a team member standpoint as well? Okay. You need to have a great experience. I'm going to show you a second. We actually have a favorite sheet that I'll show you in just a second. Like I said, are you training? If you get 1% better every single day, by the end of 365 days, you're 37 times better, 37 times better. So you have to continually have this constant improvement and training to get better. Do your team members have personal and professional and financial goals, 1, 3, and 5 years that you know about, that they can be aligned with, so that you can help them grow and develop, and they can use your company as a vehicle to get to the next level? And then do you have employee engagement? Do you have activities? As you can see, we do potlucks. In the top right corner, we took the whole team over to Davenport to go tour Palmer Chiropractic mansion tour. You know, we do superhero day. We do ugly Christmas sweater. We're having Cinco de Mayo. We're having chips and dip potluck. You know, we're building a Habitat for Humanity. We've done Meals for the Heartland, service activities, giving them outlets and opportunities. We went bowling last week. We did laser tag. A couple of years ago, we did skydiving. Okay, you can set rewards. You don't have to give any of these things for free if you don't want to. You can set rewards. That hey, if you hit these team goals, then we're going to do these team activities. And so forth. Right. So here's the employee favorites sheet. This is the sheet they fill out on their first day on the job. Their first day on the job, we are figuring out what makes them tick. What's their favorite color? What's their favorite food? What are their favorite sports teams? Go Packers, obviously, right? What are their favorite restaurant, favorite place to get gift cards? How do you like to be rewarded? How do you like to get feedback? They are telling us intimate details about themselves. Also, on their very first day, we have them take a personality assessment. We try to evaluate as best as possible through the hiring process, right? But we want to do a more in-depth one on that first day. Make sure we have proper alignment, make sure they are in the right seat. Okay, make sure we understand how to communicate to them, how they're going to communicate to us. All right. And the other big part of onboarding is our first week within our company. Now we have shifted is purely shadowing. Okay, what we found, again, we have a larger company now, might not be as applicable, to maybe some smaller companies. If you are hiring maybe a chiropractic assistant that is going to do a lot of roles, so maybe you don't have to do it for a whole week, maybe you only have to do it for a day or 2 days. But the way our first week is currently structured is that every day of the week, the first week, they're actually shadowing different roles within the company so that they get a well-rounded understanding. What do the doctors do? What does the front desk do? What does the marketing team do? What does the sales team do? What does the back office team do? What does the leadership team do? How does this company work? How do all these pieces function together? That way they have a holistic mindset, because as you grow and as you scale, you're going to have people that are more specialists, and they're going to come and say, hey, we should make this change. For the doctors, this would really be beneficial if this change is made. But what they didn't think about is that it's negatively going to impact the back office. It's negatively going to impact the front desk. And so that's not a good thing for that to change overall for the company. Might be best for the doctors, but it's not good for everybody else as a whole. So you want everybody to think globally. You want people to have an owner's mindset, and you got to start that from the onboarding process. Now, after the initial onboarding process, typically after about 60 to 90 days within our company, they sit down with their direct report and they do what we call PPF meeting. Okay, personal, professional, and 5-year goals, 1, 3, and 5 years. They need to come up with SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely goals for these 3 categories. And then this is what's going to be put in their folder and brought up every single time they have a one-on-one with their direct report in the performance reviews. Hey, you said you wanted to accomplish these goals. What is your progress to accomplish these goals? You want to take the next level and grow financially? Well, your performance isn't saying that. You said you want to pay off your student loans. Well, here's our employee maturity model. Here's how you can make more money and grow and scale within the organization. Okay, to get to the next level. This is the heartbeat of you having overarching goals for what you want the company to be, and you want the team member to have alignment with your goals as an organization. The only way they're going to have alignment with that organization if their goals are accomplished through helping you hit your goals. Okay, let me say that again. The only way they're going to have alignment is if their goals can be accomplished by helping you reach your goals. Okay, so if you want your goals to be reached, you need to help team members reach their goals. Okay, but what are their goals? A, you don't know. And B, most importantly, I bet they do not know. Unfortunately, most people in our society today don't do a good job of planning. They don't have long-term goals. They don't know how to structure, their life, to scale to the next level. You need to have your organization be an opportunity and a resource for them to go to the next level. And you can provide a framework for them to understand what their potential is, where they can go, how they can get to the next level. All right, hopefully this has been a phenomenal webinar. I'm getting pumped up just having all these topics. But employee engagement, I talked about that earlier. Chips and dips, skydiving, bowling, laser tag, potlucks. We also, every single Tuesday, we rotate team members that do what we do call a 5 to 10 minute motivational, inspirational presentation, to get everybody in alignment with our goals. We rotate through all of our team members where they do different presentations. All different activities, that we do, different. We look at the calendar. When's National Donut Day? We bring in donuts. When's National Pizza Day? Bring in, pizza. There's a National Ice Cream Cake Day. next month that we're gonna surprise them and get ice cream cake. There's all sorts of little mini, you could call them gimmicky, you can call them whatever it is, but they're fun. That's what people like. People like little things. They like little rewards, little fun things. Like I said, you can set goals, you can set accomplishments, you can tie them to team goals, you can tie them to department goals, you can tie them to individual goals, right? You can do all of that, right? But there's also some measure of these are just the consistent things. We do a company picnic every single summer. All the family members are invited, rent out, a shelter at the picnic. I do all the grilling, we play sports, people bring beer, bring food, potluck. I mean, we bring the meat, everyone else brings all the side dishes, and we have a great time. We have an annual employee Christmas, right? Again, spouses or significant others invited. We have a great time. We do white elephant gifts, all sorts of fun stuff that team members looking forward to. One of the biggest things I was told, when I was in school and I've been in different practice management groups is from a patient standpoint, you always got to have something that their patients are looking for, something to always invite them to. Well, you need to have the same thing for your employees. There should always be something they're looking forward to. They're excited, to be involved with, and opportunities, for them to drive that culture, to bond, outside of work as well. Okay, now we're going to jump into compensation. Okay, now this is a massive topic. It's not something I can spend, a ton of time on. Might need to do a whole entire call on this. A lot of the topics in this meeting, we could deep dive into 30, 60-minute topics just on each of these topics that I'm talking about. But this is how I think about it: base benefits, base bonus, and benefits. Okay, and so you need to really kind of think about what is your base bonus and benefits for each individual position. Okay, benefits are probably going to be pretty similar for all positions. Whether you offer health insurance, whether you offer retirement plans, what your PTO policy is, and then other perks that you have. Do they get free care in your office? Do they get discounted products or other services in your office? Do you have other preferred partnerships or relationships, in your community? You go to our website, verohealthcenter.com, you can see one, if you want to look at our core values, we have them all written out with the detailed descriptions on our website. You could absolutely check those out. We also have a page called Vero Gives Back about all the things that we do on involvement that we have in our community. And then we also have partners in the community that we actually have discounts for our employees and for our patients. So for example, there's a huge amusement park in town. We have a deal with them where our employees, get like 50% off. We have hotel, discounts. We have all sorts of different places that we've just had relationships with business over the years, and it's simply a matter of asking. And those are lots of perks that we've slowly created over time. Jumping back up to base. Like I stated earlier, comes down to mostly a mindset standpoint. Most likely you should probably be paying more. As just a global general rule, I see most doctors underpaying their staff, trying to hire for the bare minimum. Most likely you should be paying overall a higher amount, to find higher quality people in the first place. Like I said, training is vastly important, okay, massively important. Okay, but I would much rather pay $4 more an hour, to hire an A player than to pay $4 less an hour, hire a C player, and try and convert that person to an A player. It might take a year, it might take 2 years. It could be a very lengthy process, and so very oftentimes we get hung up on, oh, this person has so much potential. Okay, they may not, it may or may not work out. If you've hired any number of people, you've been pumped that you think you made an amazing hire, and then they absolutely bombed, right? So trying to find the right people from the beginning that have the skill sets, that have the personalities that can deliver, immediately as possible, then trying to make them better is going to be a much more advantageous long-term strategy. Bonuses, like I said, touched a lot on KPIs. One of the other things that we do is we bonus for team member referrals. If we have people on our team that know what our core values are, that know what we stand for, that are doing a fantastic, amazing job, then ideally they associate themselves with friends, that are very similar like themselves. And so if you refer somebody to work on our team that we hire full-time, we pay $5,000. Okay, if they refer someone to us that we hire part-time, we pay $1,000. If you've ever used a recruiter, okay, typical local recruiter is going to charge 20 to 30% of first year salary. So if you're paying, easy math, $100,000 for a doctor, you're gonna pay $20,000 to $30,000, to hire a doctor. You're hiring a staff member. it could cost $10, to $15,000, to use a recruiter. Okay. And so your team members are going to know way better than any recruiter you ever hire who the right person is that aligns with their core values. And it's going to be, they're not going to refer someone that they don't want to work with. Okay. Whereas a recruiter is just trying to get a sale to make their commission. All right. So that is a easy perk. And we don't pay all $5,000 at once. We pay $1,000 after 30 days, $1,000 after 6 months, and then $3,000 when that person is still there after a year. Same thing with part-time, 250, 500. As those payments over time, so that the person they refer to us actually sticks, not just works for us for 2 weeks and we pay out the money. All right. Now, employee maturity model. Is there a path for someone to grow and scale with your organization, to get to the next level? There needs to be. Okay. And so if you don't have one, again, you need to come up with one. I'm going to show you an example of ours right here. So this is our back office team members. Okay. This is how they can advance, with basic pay raises, within our organization from when they first hired. Okay. You're going to start off with doing our initial basic training processes. Once you've tested out of that and you've been with us a year, and your performance review that you've been rated at a high potential or performer or star at least 2 times in a row. Again, we do those every 6 months. So that would take at least a year, for that to happen. Then you're going to get a 25-cent pay increase. Okay. Then you're going to know initial, core, and advanced. Then you're going to have new training levels. Then you're going to test out of those. Again, you need to maintain your high performance status. You're going to get another raise. Now you're going to be able to start shadowing other team members, helping with training, working one-on-one, training team members. You're going to start handling escalated practice member cases. Okay, so that you can take those roles and some take that responsibilities off some of the management team. And then you're going to do the final advanced highest level strategies. Within that role, you need to be a star and you need to be full-time, at least 40 hours a week. Then you can advance to a senior level position within that role. Then you're going to have additional duties. You're going to be more involved with training. You're going to be more involved with accountability with team members. You're going to start joining our weekly leadership team meeting. You're going to bring your department staffs. You're going to be responsible for, you're going to go from a me leader to a we leader. You're going to be involved with other people. So this is just the base raises, for progression within a position. In addition to that, based on the performance reviews, we also give, 8 raises as well on an annual basis, depending on how they grow within, how they get rated on the performance review. They get a 3, a 4, or 5% raise every single year. So again, you need to have a model. You need to do this. Like I said earlier, that's why I had that second slide. This isn't quick. This isn't easy. This isn't fast. This isn't going to happen overnight. I'm going through a lot of depth of what you need to do to take your team to the next level. And there's a lot of layers. Some of them are going to be more important than others. You need to figure out what is the #1 priority for you that's going to have the biggest impact. Because if you're at the last event that I spoke at, I pulled up this slide because at the end of the day, read through this slide right now. How many of these things are you responsible for? I would bet most likely, if you are the owner of your clinic, you have your hand involved in 9 out of 10, 90% of these things on this list. And that is the biggest problem, is that we talk about team being a bottleneck. Well, first and foremost, you as a leader are probably the overall biggest bottleneck because you're doing so many different things. And so you need to figure out what is on your plate that you can, delegate, that you can give to the next person. But if you don't have KPIs, if you don't have performance reviews, if you don't have accountability, if you don't have structure, then it's going to be very, very difficult for you to hand these things off because you're always going to be wondering, did it get done? Did it get done right? Could it have been done better? You're going to have all these concerns, fears. It's going to be so difficult for you to hand these things off because there's so many unknowns. So for you to properly hand these things off, you need to have performance reviews. You need to have accountability. You need to have all these things that are the checks and balances of what people are doing. Are they doing it properly? Okay. Because at the end of the day, business is just one small part of our lives, right? I mean, it shouldn't be the focus of your life is business, right? There's so many more important things, like I said, your family, your faith, right? Your health, all these things should be primary, in your life, and so if you have all these other things on your plate, then it's going to make it much more difficult for you to be the best husband or wife or the best mom or dad possible. And so by having these proper protocols of accountability and the structure, of team member expectations, then you're going to be able to have the opportunity to be your fullest in all areas of life. Like I said, you are the number one bottleneck. What are you not good at? What do you not like to do? Those are the things that you need to get off your plate as fast as possible. Ideally, finding someone on your team that already has the capability to deliver those at a high level. You just need to set proper expectations of how they need to be done. Do you have SOPs documented? That's a big thing, from a training perspective. Hey, we go to train on a topic. Well, we have everything documented in our office, so it's very easy to say, hey, go train on it. Here's the verbiage, go into the Google Drive, print this off, and take that to the next level, okay? Now, this is a simple worksheet you can do. If you haven't done this exercise, I would highly recommend it, but it's not something you do one time. This is something you most likely should do. I would say, if you've never done it before, you should probably do it once a month, and then eventually you can probably get to once a quarter, and then maybe, I don't know if you ever really want to go any longer period of time without filling this sheet out, but this sheet, you put every single activity that you do on this sheet should be into one of the 4 quadrants, okay? And the bottom right quadrant is what you don't like to do it and you're not good at. Those are the things you need to hand off, delegate as soon as possible. Is there someone that already have on your team to take those responsibilities, or is that a hiring need that you need to do? And then you're literally just going to go from that bottom left corner up to that top right corner and finding the right appropriate people so that you are in your sweet spot. You are in your zone of genius where you are doing the highest level skills that fulfill you the most, and you're doing at the best level possible. So I know this has been a lot of information. All right, but at the end of the day, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And like I said, even if you go fast alone, it's going to be so temporary. You're going to hit a plateau. You're going to have problems. You're going to run into issues, and you're going to get passed up, right? And so you need to figure out, who do I need on my team to accelerate my growth to the next level, to give me the freedom, right? What are your goals? Do you have your personal, professional, and financial 1, 3, and 5-year goals documented? If you don't, you need to do that first. Before you have your team members writing all their goals and what they want to accomplish, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish, as an individual, as a business owner, as a husband, as a wife, as a mom, as a dad, as a person in your faith, with your health? You have all of those things. What is your vision for the organization? What do you want? Where do you want to see the company go? Okay, you need to have all of those figured out first and foremost. Otherwise, how are you going to lead other people to a vision that you don't even know? How are you going to try and tell people what the destination is when you don't know where you're going? That's why I said earlier, you need to know where you're going. You need to have the roadmap, and you need to know how to get there. And then you can put people in place for them to execute that plan. So if you know me, this is my biggest theme of any talk I ever do. I think there is a perverse problem in our profession of too much learning and not enough action. Too many books, too many seminars, right? And not taking the action of what you do. All right. And so you got to take action. Here's action steps. Take a picture of this if you want to, but I broke down everything I went through today on this singular sheet. Okay. You need to have core values. You need to have an accountability chart. You need to have KPIs for every position within your organization. What are the primary purpose and skills for every position? Do you have performance reviews? What is your strategy for recruiting? Do you use an ATS, an applicant tracking system? Do you need to use recruiters, chiropractic recruiters, local recruiters? What is your rhythm of job postings and hiring and filtering strategies? You've got to stay ahead of the growth. You always got it. This has to be a huge part of who you are. If you want to grow, if you want to delegate, if you want to have freedom. Do you have a regular, consistent training calendar? Are you evaluating every single week what the biggest training needs are you do, and making shift, accordingly as a result? Do you have a daily, weekly, quarterly structure, okay, of rhythms, of evaluations? What are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges in each department to take your business to the next level? How are you performing on your KPIs? What changes need to be made if you're not hitting them, from an individual standpoint or from a business standpoint? Do you have one-on-one meetings with your team members? Do you know their personal, professional, and financial 1, 3, and 5-year goals? Are they in alignment with your core values, and can they accomplish their own individual goals through your organization as a vehicle? Do you have the compensation model detailed out? Do you know what your base, bonus, and benefits are for each position? Can you accurately describe those? And are they attractive? Would somebody want to join your team as a result of those? And what is their growth model? How can they go through an employee maturity model to go, from $20 an hour to $30 an hour? How can they scale within your organization and go from where they're at currently to wherever their goals and accomplishments want to take them? Do you have an employee engagement plan? Do you have group and team activities to increase bonding and culture within your organization? And are you continually evaluating your individual roles as a leader? Otherwise, you're going to be the number one bottleneck to you taking the steps to the next level, to continually growing and scaling. So hopefully this was phenomenal value for you. This is recorded. We are get this recording out to everyone that was on this call. But this is a QR code. If you are not currently a member of Lucro, this is a QR code to book a financial strategy call with us. We are going to do these calls every single month. Okay, we are going to continually add value to this profession, and people that are in our group are going to get more and more and more value. You're probably already paying, or unfortunately, you yourselves are doing bookkeeping at a much higher cost than we ever charge. $450 a month, or only $375 a month if you pay annually for bookkeeping. But obviously that's not all we do. We do much more than that. As you can see, we are using that data to then grow and scale your business based on knowing your numbers, knowing your KPIs from an overall holistic P&L standpoint. Then you know where to focus on. Again, number one expense on your P&L is always most likely should be your payroll. And so therefore, this is a massive, massive topic with lots of layers that we went over today. And so we can unwind them. We're going to have future calls to break these down into deeper levels and help you grow and scale to the next level. But you need to figure out what is the top priority as an organization that you can focus on to go and scale to the next level. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining on this call today. That concludes today's call. If you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A.
Yeah, I've checked the Q&A. Just check your chat. I sent it to you. Dr. Brett asked a question just about the way they bonus CAs. I think it's worth just brainstorming it for the last 2 or 3 minutes. I'll wait for you to read it.
So Brett asked, we bonus CAs pay based on new patients and pre-scheduled month over month. But what are the better bonus options? Should we increase bonus amount before hourly? Yeah, again, CA is a very general term, obviously chiropractic assistant. So what, activities are those people doing on a daily basis that impact those things? If they are your front desk workers, are they taking in leads? Are they answering phone calls? Are they following up with leads? We don't have phones at all at our front desk because our front desk team members need to be focused on the patients in front of them, providing highest quality service possible. So again, you might need to evaluate, are those even the right people, or what other duties that they have. It just depends. Like I said, a lot of times that is a big issue that I see a lot of clinics have, is they're asking their team members, internal team members, to be very involved with marketing and new patients. But that's like a secondary role for them. And so then they get very frustrated that they're getting bonused off of something that's not their primary goal and objective that they are doing on a daily basis. So if that is something that you want them to be bonused on, do you want that to be their primary role, or is there a different role for that? So yeah, that's a deep question. I think you need to first evaluate, like I said, that's where you got to go through the process I just said of each position. What is their primary roles and responsibilities first and foremost? And then based on those, what are the top KPIs they can impact based on their primary role? So most likely I would, without having more information, you probably should have a marketing team member, someone more focused on new patients, not try and use a general CA to help with your new patients. What company do you use for virtual assistants? Dr. Bryce asked. Outsource Access is the company that we used to hire our virtual assistants. Do you have KPIs for each position in the office that you would be willing to share. So yeah, I mean, you saw the chiropractor ones, you know, sales positions are going to be day one, day two close rates, you know, overall income, you know, generated. Marketing people are going to be number of new patients that are showing up, you know, signing up for care. You know, front desk is going to be involved with reviews, referrals, but overall, like I said, what the most important thing that they're involved with that's tough to measure is customer experience, or what we call in our office Disney effect. You know, are they, you know, making people feel special just like you do at Disney World, and having above and beyond customer service that's hard to, you know, measure. Doctors, like I said, you saw that one. But what my KPIs from my positions might not be the same if your positions are different, especially, you know, if you have a smaller team, they're going to be involved, you know, with multiple activities like we just talked about with a CA. They may be involved in many different tasks. So finding the exact activities for that, you know, might not be perfect. But in general, you just need to think about what are the revenue drivers in my business? What are the top KPIs that drive revenue, right? And then who has the largest impact on those KPIs? So I would kind of work from that structure as well as the structure of what your current team members are currently doing. And then maybe you need to evaluate, you know, the focus of your team members. Should they be focusing, you know, on different topics, you know, than they currently are? So that's why I said team is multi-layered. You know, it's like an ogre, it's like an onion, it's got many layers. You know, what answer I tell you, you know, for some person, you know, this probably needs to be more of an in-depth understanding of what they're actually doing to get the right.
Just a last comment on a bonus. Sorry, I will turn my video on. I'm just worried about my internet. But the last comment on a bonus is when you, obviously the first step to a compensation package is a base salary. So if you are so reliant, different for salespeople because it's so performance related on a revenue outcome, i.e. someone is a new patient or they've driven new patients or new potential patients to the practice. But if you are trying to bonus clinicians, care providers, you got to make sure your bonus is sorted out first, because their primary job is to do their job, which is to care for patients. So if your base compensation isn't enough, you can often create a misalignment between what they are trying to actually do every single day. And then a bonus is always something that wants to elicit more action that improves that role. So if you can identify what do you want this person to do more of or be better at in order for their job to be better, in order for the outcome to be better, those are the actions that you want to structure bonuses around. And if you don't structure them around that, then again, you have a misalignment between the action that you want someone to take and why you want them to be better at that action or why you want them to perform better in that action. Then that becomes a problem with the compensation structure. But it starts with a base and then you build the bonus. When you start the other way around, you often create an environment that doesn't get you the action you're really looking for.